Jefferson County Court Law number 2 is back in session. First case that we have is cause number 332-922. Case is style of State of Texas versus Quentin N. Donata or Quentin Norman Donata. Mr. Donata, would you please come forward? Yeah, your full name is Quentin N. Donata or Quentin Norman Donata?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Donata, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Donata, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Donata? Oh, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Donata, I have before me a document that is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Do you recognize this document? Okay, do you recognize the document? What's the question?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes,
Or are these your initials on the line stating you want to hire an attorney?
yes, sir.
Okay, now, Mr. Donata, before you sign and initial this document, did you read the document? You have to speak up.
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in this document true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Donata, your case is going to be reset. You're gonna stand on the X in front of our court coordinator, and she's gonna reset your case. Just have a seat in that first chair by the wall, and then when she's ready for you, she'll call you up to the window. Okay. And once you finish here, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Tracy Diggles. Ms. Diggles, is your full name Tracy Michelle Diggles?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Diggles, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Diggles, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Ms. Diggles, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Diggles?
I'm doing okay.
That's good. Ms. Diggles, I have before me a document that is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line stating you want to apply for court-appointed counsel?
Yes, sir.
I also have a document that's titled that's titled Jefferson County Affidavit of Indigence. Ms. Diggles, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, Ms. Diggles, there.
The door is locked.
Let's see. Okay, Ms. Diggles, on page 2 of this document, is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Ms. Diggles, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Diggles, I read your answers in these documents. Based on your answers, meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And the attorney that will be appointed to represent you in this case is Attorney Jack Lawrence. Attorney Lawrence will be given information on how to contact you. You will also be given information on how to contact Mr. Lawrence. Our court coordinator will give you that information. Once you get that information from our court coordinator, You'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Please stand on the 4X in front of the court coordinator.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Elliot Butler. Mr. Porter. You're gonna have to get up to him. This is cause number 332706. Case is filed with State of Texas versus Elliot Butler. Elliot Trevon Butler. Mr. Butler, is that your full name? Elliot Trevon Butler? Mr. Butler, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Butler, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mr. Butler, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Butler? You doing all right? Now, Mr. Butler, I have before me documents. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? Are these your initials on the line stating you want to apply for a court-appointed attorney? Also, I have a document that's titled Jefferson County Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document? On page 2 of this document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant's signature. Is this your signature? Now, Mr. Butler, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents? Did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay, now, Mr. Butler, based on your answers in these documents, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And the attorney that will be appointed to represent you in this case is Attorney Todd LeBlanc. Attorney LeBlanc will be given information on how to contact you. And you will also be given information on how to contact Mr. LeBlanc. Now, and that information will be given to you by our court coordinator. Now, before you go to the court coordinator, you have another document before you. That document is titled Standard Bond Conditions in County Court at Law Number 2. Do you see that document? And I will go over this document with you, and it's titled Standard Bond Conditions in County Court at Law Number 2. Following arrest and accusation in County Court at Law Number 2 of Jefferson County, Texas, all bail bonds are executed for release of any defendant named herein or order subject to the following additional conditions. Number 1, the defendant shall commit no offense against the laws of this state, any other state, or of the United States. Do you understand that condition? Speak up. Okay. Condition number 2, the defendant shall submit to testing for drugs and alcohol at any time as directed by the court. Court may revoke the bond and order the arrest of any defendant who A, refuses to submit to a test for drugs and alcohol when directed to do so by the court, or B, submit to a test for drugs and alcohol, and the test indicates the presence of drugs or alcohol in the defendant's body. And that's pursuant to the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.44, Section A2 and Section C2. Do you understand that condition? And condition number 3, the defendant shall not communicate either directly or indirectly with the alleged victim of the pending offense, and the defendant shall not go near any residence, school, or other location frequented by the alleged victim. Do you understand that condition? Now, condition number 4 does not apply to you because that only applies in a DWI case. Your case is not a DWI case. Now, Mr. Butler, if you violate any one of these bond conditions, your bond can be revoked, and if your bond is revoked, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you will be placed in the Jefferson County Jail. Do you understand that? Okay, so Mr. Butler, that is your copy. You can keep that for your records. You're going to stand on the far X in front of our court coordinators. When your case is reset, once your case is reset, you'll be free to go on your next step. Matthew Downs. Mr. Downs, your full name, Matthew Tynan Downs? Tynan Downs? Mr. Downs, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Downs, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, Mr. Downs, you may put your hand down. Now, Mr. Downs, I have two documents before me. The first document is titled "The Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney." Mr. Downs, do you recognize this document?
Yes,
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
correct. Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line stating you want to waive your right to attorney to represent yourself?
Yes, sir.
I also have another document that's titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. Mr. Downs, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Downs, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Pretty much, yes, sir.
Did you understand what,
Yes,
okay, and is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay, okay, Mr. Downs, I read these documents. What we're gonna do, you're gonna go back and have a seat where you're sitting, and one of the prosecutors will, talk to you.
Yes, sir.
All right? Next case is cause number 319652, case of style of State of Texas versus Thomas A. Harbin or Thomas Aaron Harbin. Your full name is Thomas Aaron Harbin.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harbin, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Harbin, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did.
You may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Harbin?
Doing well.
That's good. Mr. Harbin, I have before me two documents. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Mr. Harbin, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these initials on the line stating you want to waive your right to an attorney to represent yourself?
Yes, sir.
I also have another document that is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. Mr. Harbin, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Harbin, before you signed in and initial these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Harbin, we'll have a prosecutor talk to you in a few minutes. Just go back and have a seat.
Yes, sir.
All right. James J. Dixon or James Jr. Dixon Jr. Mr. Dixon, your full name is James J. Dixon or James Jr. Dixon Jr.?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Dixon, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Dixon, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand out. How are you doing, Mr. Dixon? That's good. Mr. Dixon, I have before me a document that is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Mr. Dixon, you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line
Yes, sir.
stating you want to apply for, well, is this your signature on the line where it says defendant? And are these your initials on line stating you want to waive your right to an attorney to represent yourself?
Yes, sir.
I also have another document here. This document is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea. Mr. Dixon, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir. I do.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Dixon, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir. I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Dixon, you're gonna have a seat. Please take your seat, and then one of the prosecutors will come up and talk to you. This here, an error. Okay. Let's see if we can do that. Next case is cause number, next two cases, cause number 332-970 and 332-971. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Donald Wayne Neff. Ms. Neff, would you come forward? Okay. Good morning. Your full name is Donald Wayne Neff?
Yes.
Ms. Neff, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Neff, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
How you doing, Mr. Neff? That's good. You may put your hand down. Now, Mr. Neff, I have before me a document that's titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Correct, sir.
And are these your initials on the line
Yes, sir.
stating that you would like to apply? No, that you will waive your right to attorney and you want to represent yourself?
Yes.
I also have a document here that's titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. Do you recognize this document?
I do, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? Now, Mr. Neff, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct
Yes, sir.
to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Neff, you're gonna have a seat, and when the prosecutor is ready for you, he'll come and talk to you.
Thank you, sir.
You are. Manuel Walters. Now, Mr. Walters, before we get started, I need to, let me do this here. Pursuant to Article 1.24 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, all proceedings and trials should be held in the public. However, pursuant to the case of Lilly versus State South, 365 Southwest 3rd, 321, the right to a public trial is not absolute and might be outweighed and may be outweighed by other competing interests, such as interest in security and to prevent the disclosure of non-public information and to ensure that a defendant receives a fair trial. And based on the questions that I'm getting ready to ask Mr. Walters, it may disclose non-public information. And so based on that, the court has advanced an overriding interest that is likely to be prejudiced to the defendant. And the closure is no broader than necessary to protect Mr. Walters' rights. And the trial court have considered other reasonable alternatives. And at this time, the court makes these findings inadequate, these findings are adequate for the closure of this hearing. So at this time, this is gonna be closed to the public. Mr. Walters, well, bailiff, I need. Yeah, you're gonna have them to step outside. Yeah, y'all need to step outside. He's gonna come back and get you when we're ready.